On this strange old map, every dot represented a person. Then one by one, the dots vanished until only one remained. And that last dot was his. My name is Sam Wright. I'm a mapmaker. Or, I was. People don't need hand-drawn maps anymore. Phones replaced us. But here, in this small mountain village, I still had work. Old paths, uncharted woods, stories passed down in lines and ink. That night, as rain tapped against my shutters, someone knocked at my door. Not a neighbor, not anyone I knew. A man, face hidden beneath a wide hat, soaked from the storm. He handed me a package. No words. Inside, a scroll, wrapped in twine, old parchment, faint ink lines weaving through faded hills and rivers, a map, but no names, no labels, just small red dots scattered across empty space. A note pinned to the scroll. Complete it. I frowned. Before I could ask, the man was gone. Only muddy footprints at my doorstep, leading nowhere. I unrolled the map fully. A river I recognized, a bend in the road I'd walked. But other landmarks didn't match, and those red dots, each dot, rested where a house should be. One marked my neighbor's home, another the blacksmith's shop. A chill crawled down my spine. Why mark them? I traced a dot with my finger. The ink left a faint smear. Suddenly, a knock at the door again. I opened it. No one. But across the road, my neighbor's house. Dark. No lantern, no smoke. Gone. Not abandoned. Gone. Where it stood. Now only grass. As if it had never been there. I staggered back. The red dot on the map faded to black. I closed the door, locked it, heart pounding. I stared at the map again. Another dot flickered. The blacksmith's. I grabbed my coat, lantern in hand. Ran into the night, but when I reached the forge, gone. The anvil, the tools, the chimney, all vanished, only flattened earth. And on the map, another dot fading to black. Back home, I pored over the map by lamplight. Each dot, each fading mark. Who sent this? Why me? Why now? I turned the map over. A single sentence scrawled on the back. The last dot is you. I couldn't sleep. Every creak of the old wood sounded louder. Every gust of wind outside felt like whispers. I kept staring at the map. That red dot in the center. My home. I flipped it over again. Same sentence. The last dot is you. I tried scrubbing it off. Nothing. The ink felt burned into the parchment. Then I noticed a faint line had appeared, leading from my dot to somewhere deep in the woods. It hadn't been there before. A path, a direction, and at the end, another dot. I didn't recognize that spot. Yet, something in me knew. I had to go. I packed my lantern, put on my coat, stepped into the night. The path led me beyond the fields, past the old stone well, deeper than I'd ever gone. The lantern's glow seemed swallowed by the dark. Trees arched above like black ribs, their branches whispering together. After what felt like hours, I found it. A clearing. In the center, a stone marker, worn, cracked, a name barely visible. But I knew it. My grandfather's. I stepped closer. Something rested at the base. A small wooden box, tied shut with old string. A folded note sat on top. I knelt, unfolded it. 6 words. To finish the map, open me. I hesitated, then pulled the string loose. The lid creaked open. Inside, a folded piece of paper. I unfolded it. Another map, smaller, simpler, but this time, only one red dot. and beneath it, written in the same faded ink, "The map ends where you began." Suddenly, the wind stopped. The trees fell silent. The lantern flickered. And then, from behind me, a voice, low, familiar. "You've seen enough." I turned, but no one stood there. Only my shadow, long, distorted, stretching toward the woods. And on the ground, the small map's red dot began to fade. I stood there, frozen, watching the dot fade. My shadow still stretched, longer, reaching toward the woods. I looked down at the small map again. The ink shimmered faintly. Another line appeared, tracing a path, leading away from the stone marker, back toward the village. I followed it, each step heavier. The trees seemed closer, the air colder. When I broke through the tree line, the village was gone. No rooftops, no lights, only emptiness, grass, fog. I pulled out the large map, every dot black, except one. Mine, still red, still waiting. I shouted into the emptiness. "Hello?" No echo, no answer. I walked toward where my house once stood. Nothing. I turned. The map felt heavier in my hands. When I looked again, a new mark had appeared, not a dot, a symbol, a circle with a cross through it, right over where I stood, and beneath it, words scribbled in shaky ink. "X marks the last." A chill ran down my spine. Suddenly, a sound behind me, footsteps, software crunching grass. I spun around, no one, but another sound. Closer, breathing, right behind my ear. I stepped back. The breathing stopped, but a whisper drifted through the fog. "You've mapped enough." I gripped the map tighter. The ink shifted, lines redrawing themselves. The red dot pulsed, once, twice. A thin crack echoed beneath my feet. I looked down. The ground, fracturing, splintering, a spiderweb of cracks beneath me. The map glowed faint red, and then it tore itself in half. The last thing I saw, the words bleeding across the torn parchment. "Every map needs a cartographer." And I fell into the dark. I fell. No sound, no sensation, just falling. Until I landed, software earth beneath my hands. I looked up, not the field, not the woods. A room, stone walls, ceiling too low, lit by a single flickering torch. The map lay beside me, now blank, except a single phrase burned into the parchment. "Draw." A piece of charcoal rested beside it. My hand trembled. I pressed the charcoal to the parchment. As I drew a line, a new wall formed around me, stone, cold. I drew a doorway. It appeared. I stepped through. Another room, smaller, tighter. The parchment glowed again. "Keep drawing." I kept drawing, door after door, room after room, each smaller than the last, each darker. The torchlight dimmer, my breath short, walls closing in. I stopped, dropped the charcoal. "You cannot stop," the voice echoed from the stone. The map glowed again. Another phrase appeared. "The cartographer does not leave." I slammed my fist on the floor. "I don't want this." Silence, but then a whisper, gentle, almost kind. "Then map your way out." I looked down, the map now blank, waiting. I drew a door, a path, a way home, lines forming under trembling hands. But as I drew, a new dot appeared, red, moving, following my path. The dot pulsed, closer, closer. I erased it. It reappeared, closer. I threw the charcoal. The walls trembled. The parchment glowed. A final sentence appeared. The map draws back. Behind me, a breath, warm, alive. I turned and saw nothing, only shadow, stretching into a shape, holding charcoal. The shadow behind me, it moved. Its hand raised the charcoal and traced a line on the stone wall, a doorway, a dark outline. It stepped back, and the outline opened, a black hollow, a path. I turned to the map. A matching line had appeared, leading into the unknown. The voice whispered again. "Finish the map." I swallowed, stepped toward the dark doorway, and crossed. The path beyond, narrow, darker. The stone walls pressed closer. With every step, the map glowed stronger in my hand, the red dot moving again. Ahead, I turned a corner and saw it. A massive wall, carved into it, a map, the same map, every line I'd drawn, every path, etched in stone. At the center, the red dot. It pulsed, and from the stone map, a voice. "The map is never yours. It maps you." I reached out, touched the red dot, warm, alive. The stone trembled, cracks spreading, the map breaking apart, pieces falling, a doorway behind the wall, revealed, lit from within. I stepped closer, but the voice returned. "Every map needs a cartographer." The map glowed bright. The red dot flashed, and I realized the red dot was never a place. It was me. And as the map crumbled, I stepped through into blinding light, and the map sealed shut behind me forever.